Stacey Abrams had a cameo on Star Trek Discovery recently as President of Earth. Right-wing media freaked out over it. Helpful for the left or a distraction?
It's a distraction. I say like don't even buy it. Don't even waste your time with it. Whatever. Who cares? I will say though that like Star Trek as a series was far more progressive back in the 1990s than it seems to be now. I remember seeing a little bit of Star Trek Voyager and being incredibly disappointed by the plot structure. It feels like, and obviously the recent movies are just bad. At their best, they're like semi-competent action movies, and at their worst, they're like corruptions of the ethics of the original Star Trek, you know? I enjoy Voyager. It's fine. I don't want to argue about it. Yeah. TNG and Deep Space Nine are based in progressive for the era. Dude, they're based in progressive for today. The average episode of fucking Deep Space Nine or The Next Generation is so much more fucking progressive. Yeah, the new Star Trek movies just want to be Star Wars. It's disappointing. Yeah, I gotta go. Oh, went the wrong way. Okay. They also have no money in certain storylines. Well, I think part of the issue is that it's also the storylines they're trying to do. Like, guys, for those of you who have watched The Next Generation, you guys know that some of those episodes had to have been pretty fucking cheap to produce, right? They would do, like, whole episodes with just, like, character acting. Like, they would do whole episodes where Data's just trying to figure out, like, a quirk of human behavior, and it would just be the actors just talking and, like, dealing with, you know, interpersonal drama. You know, the same sets were reused over and over again, which is fine. It's the same ship. It is the Enterprise. And that was great. I really liked that. Oh, yeah, those were some of the best episodes, too. 100%, yeah. Now, obviously, back in those days, like, they were a little bit... They had it a bit easier because when they wanted to do, like, a CGI thing back then, it was acceptable to just have, like, a floating white light. And it's like, ooh, look, this is the space anomaly. It's like, okay, well, that wouldn't fly today. But you know, with that aside, it just seems like the need for spectacle has been really damaging to Star Trek as a franchise. Because Star Trek doesn't need spectacle. It's not Star Wars. Star Trek is supposed to be a utopian, communist vision of the future about a team of scientists and explorers who reach out to the furthest, like, frontier of the stars. Like, that's... Don't they literally not have money in the Federation? You are correct. The Galactic Federation in Star Trek literally does not have a currency. When asked about this by a member of another galactic civilization, Picard says that they no longer find they need it as they instead dedicate their life towards the pursuit of art, science, and knowledge. Like, it is as explicitly communist as you can get. My personal interpretation of, like, Star Trek, they have money to trade with other civilizations. I think the Galactic Federation has resources that they trade with other galactic civilizations, but there's no currency used in the Federation. There are planets within the Federation that use the currency, but the Federation itself doesn't. So, for example, a planet can be a part of a Federation, and that planet can have currency that they use, but Federation enterprises, which expand over, like, trillions of people, like, that's the largest institution by far, just don't use money. My guess is that in the Federation, they basically don't have a working class anymore, and therefore they've actually achieved communism. They don't have nation states, obviously. It's a galactic federation. Like, I don't think there's any, like, America anymore in the year of, like, 2418 or whatever. And I'm pretty sure everything has been solved with automation. That's, like, the impression that I get from watching Star Trek.
Do you still need that idle animation for using before stream starts, the close-up of your avatar? I started a file, but not much to show off yet.
I probably will, but I think I'm planning to change my starting screen to accommodate the Fortress arc. So it would probably be prudent to stop working it at present to see what alterations are made. Because we put out that call quite some time ago But keep in mind, the call was if anyone wants to do it, not do it and show us the results. So I'm just saying. No, I'm not debating anyone. Yeah, Popeye the Sailor. Oh, anyway, like, I understand that my experience of Star Trek is heavily weighted by, Oh, gotcha, Zucchina. Well, thank you. Still, it's
Star Trek
really
Voyager
flattering.
and Enterprise are underrated. DS9 is the GOAT, and Star Trek Beyond is the best of the new movies. It's the only good new Star Trek movie.
I love you, Flaming Tricycle. Let's leave it at that. Gotcha, the Richie Buzz.
Audible slap. Keep my wife's name out ya mouth.
Thank you kindly. Okay, wait. Anyway, I was gonna say, I understand my knowledge of Star Trek is really heavily weighted towards the next generation. However, I genuinely don't recall any member of the Federation talking about, like, their job. Does that make any sense? I never heard of someone being, like, a factory worker or, like, working as a farmer or production. Not in the Federation. In Federation-aligned worlds, sure. But in the Federation itself, yeah, they talk about careers. They talk about, like, their ambitions. But I don't hear, like, I've never heard anyone complain about, like, they have an 8-hour shift at the factory. I'm pretty sure that the productive capabilities of the Federation are met entirely by automation. Like, they can literally build, like, robots. Like, you know? Like full-on, yeah. Picard's brother owns a vineyard, is that what you mean? Yeah, but he wants to own that vineyard. Picard's brother owns that vineyard because he wants to make wine, right? And that's fine. I'm just saying that, like, labor as we have it. Oh yeah, guys, they literally have replicators. Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot. Their tech is farther along than, like, Star Wars is in a lot of respects. They literally can just phase shit into existence.
Fun fact. The orange wolf defending Renala is reused from a boss that was unused in
I saw
Bloodborne.
that from the Zuli video.
The unused boss became the Farron Covenant's Covenant leader.
Yeah, the one with the hollowed out gut. The Farron Greatsword, yeah. In the original series, Kirk literally turns down a chest full of gold because he states they no longer need money in their post-scarcity society. So based. And they can just replicate gold, right? Like, the replicators in Star Trek literally just assemble shit atom by atom, so they can just make anything, right? Like, if they want gold, they can literally go to the fabricator and go, like, I want 10 pounds of gold, and it'll just make 10 pounds of gold. There is no... yeah, they only need power. The only thing they need is the power necessary to construct that. That's why the Ferengi use Latinum, which cannot be replicated. Ah, that makes sense. There's, like, some materials that the replicators can't make. Gold-pressed Latinum. Gotcha. Interesting.
Vaush, thanks for liking my tier list on Twitter. By the way, like 20 people including Aston Mac called me racist cuz the only 3 black people on it were annoying. Tier.
I agree, you're racist. I'm agreeing with them. I'm joining the woke mob. You know, the gold there is actually just a worthless container. Yeah, they can literally fabricate gold. The gold pressed would just mean probably to protect the Latinum from the elements, right? Like to have an inert metal on the outside that would not rust or decay or whatever. Plus it's shiny.
This is my last dono before I go to bed, but The Next Generation is the best Star Trek series. DS9 is second and everything else sucks. Star Trek is based though.
I think the original show has a lot of worth. I haven't seen, like, all the shit, though, so I shouldn't speak like an expert. This hand is so big! Can you literally not run from it? Is it literally not possible? Hologram rights in Star Trek are so fucking weird. They won't deactivate EMS holograms because they're sentient, but they also don't have rights to repurpose them as mining slaves. There's some weird shit in there. I don't understand what the I don't understand what the with like the holograms, right? Weren't there a few times in the Next Generation where they made holograms that had like sentience? I remember it during an episode with where Data wanted to like role play as Dr. Holmes, or sorry, like Sherlock Holmes. So they made a Moriarty in the holodeck, and the problem was that Data, being an android, was too smart and would figure out the solution to any like algorithmically generated puzzle. So the Data essentially asked the computer to create a Moriarty that would be a worthy opponent, and it ended up creating a power drain so significant that it fucked with the rest of the entire galactic starship. And the Moriarty that the computer created was his intellectual rival and was like sentient to the point where he was able to hold the ship hostage by like tapping into the fucking mainframe of the ship. That was a really fucking good episode. I guess the question would be like, was Moriarty an autonomous intelligence, or was Moriarty just an extension of the ship's intelligence that was being sort of directed into one particular form and personality at the direction of Data, you know? It's a really good episode. It's incredibly good.
Vaush, do you remember the episode, The Drumhead, where the Romulan goes on trial for lying about being Romulan? It's so good. Also, thank you for being the best.
It was literally a race trial. Yeah, they literally suspected him just because of his race. It was like a whole thing on like ethnic supremacy.
Love the Trek, Warhammer 40,000 and Battleship conversations.
Yeah, I'm repping authentic nerd discourse in the lefty space. Thank you. I appreciate that. He showed a desire to leave the Enterprise, so I think he was autonomous. Okay, I have to say, the fact that the AI of the Enterprise was capable of producing an autonomous intelligence separate from itself is really fucked up. And I hate that, right? Especially because the AI of the ship isn't fully autonomous, right? Like, the ship of the Enterprise does have artificial intelligence, but the artificial intelligence of the Enterprise is limited. It's meant to be subservient to commands. Very true, Django Geek. Maybe a Kiersgaard. Next area. We're almost done here. Is anyone gonna answer me on that? Because I'm curious about the answer. The ship of the Enterprise, I know it has AI, but it doesn't have a personality, right? Oh, wait, one other question that I have. One other thing that I'm curious about. Okay, so Data is a sentient android who's, like, capable of being a human, basically. Like, he's capable of, like, human-level engagement with the world. My question is, if that's so unique and special that, like, only one doctor was able to make him... Oh, God, here we go. Never mind.
At Vaush, the Latinum in its pure form is liquid. To make it into usable currency, they need to use gold to make it into the solid bars.
I gotcha. Yeah, that tracks.
Vaush, I said that last one was my last dono, but I need you to acknowledge that the Next Generation is the best Star Trek series. The other one's pale INCOMPARISON.
I have said that many times. Trust me, I'm very much on the books with that one. Oh, but yeah, anyway, what I wanted to say was, like, how was it that the computer of the Enterprise was able to create an autonomous and fully sentient life in the holodeck when it was such an exceptional thing that Data was a fully sentient, autonomous android? Because plot? Okay, so it's a plot hole. I'm just making sure that it's a plot hole. Because, like, if all it takes to make a fully autonomous, sentient AI is to ask your holodeck, like, hey, make one, you know? Like, yeah. I don't think Starfleet understands their own computers. If that was the case, don't you think that would have been a really cool plot point? You know? Like, if like, hey, how is it that the Federation has all this incredibly sick computer data, and they're basically like, yeah, we have, like, some machine learning programs going on in the background, and that was, like, 100 years ago, and we have no fucking idea what they've been doing in the past century, but they They do what we ask, and they're very advanced. You know, that would be good. It would also fix a lot of plot holes, by the way. You could make the argument then that the reason Data is exceptional is because he was a deliberately created, fully autonomous, sentient AI. That he was built from the ground up with a human's intelligence to have what he has, as opposed to it being a product of machine learning.
Because the doctor who made Data was an incredible genius who died young. The computer being able to do incredible things is a reoccurring plot point.
Well, sure. I'm just saying that kind of diminishes, because Data is supposed to be, like, really unique, so...
How has your reading of the Witcher books been going? Do you still think elves are assholes and deserve to be Robloxed?
I didn't say they deserve to be Roblox. They are assholes. I haven't read them in a while. I've been busy with this. This being streaming and Elden Ring. The computers are programmed by aliens who communicate in binary. There was an episode. Okay. Data was an exceptional hardware advancement. It's not that he was sentient. It's that Dr. Sung made a brain-sized computer that can act like a brain. Oh, and to make a brain-sized computer, like to have a sentient thing in the size of Data, right? Because like the Enterprise computer is colossal and it's powered by like a fucking infinity core or some shit. But Data is autonomous and self-powered and sentient. Yeah, Moriarty's brain was also autonomous and sentient, but it was also being powered by something the size of the Enterprise, and the Enterprise had power failures just by trying to power its brain. So being able to power an autonomous android of that level of intelligence purely off an autonomous human-sized unit is pretty impressive.